Hall of Famer Phil Niekro and 24-year big league knuckleballer Charlie Hough taught me alongside Cy Young Award winner R.A. Dickey. These are the secrets of the knuckleball.
Now, for those of you who have been following me and following my story, you probably know I didn't play baseball in high school or college. I was an all-season basketball player growing up, but I was obsessed with the knuckleball ever since I saw it at 11 years old. Sitting right behind the backstop at Fenway Park, my father let me run around the park. Wakefield was making one of his first starts for the Boston Red Sox, and he took a no-hitter into the 8th or 9th inning that day against the Oakland A's. It was broken up by a double off the Green Monster. I remember it pretty vividly, but my buddy and I ran around the park. I was kind of unaware that Wakefield was pitching, and we ended up right behind the backstop after getting kicked out of Stephen King's season seats along the first baseline. And what I saw there ended up sort of dictating what I did with the rest of my life, unbeknownst to me. I was obsessed with the knuckleball ever since. I was throwing wiffle balls and tennis balls up against the shed. I was playing catch with anybody who'd play catch with me, and I was throwing knuckleballs at them over and over and over again. And I started developing those 10,000 hours that they say that you need in order to master a skill at a very young age. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing yet. It was long before I ran into Charlie Hough. But it earned me the skill to get noticed by Charlie Hough. When I was 23, 24 years old, I was in Long Beach, California at a baseball tryout, and I ended up throwing well enough to capture the attention of Charlie Hough. He called me horse shit with potential, and it was the best compliment I ever received. Now, of course, he took me under his wing. I ended up learning from him right alongside R.A. Dickey in the same bullpen at Cypress Community College in Fullerton, California. That's where we set up shop that off season. And his tutelage got me into pro baseball, and I leveraged that pro baseball experience later to learn extensively from Hall of Famer Phil Niekro, and I'm incredibly grateful for those experiences. Phil was a great guy, and it's a whole nother story, but the last thing he ever told me was, "I love you." And I didn't respond well. I didn't know that he was sick at the time, and he knew he was on his way out, so he told me he loved me, and I kind of regret my response to him. I kind of just said thank you. But I wish I could have thanked him a little more for all the wisdom that he poured into me. But we are here to talk about Tom Candiotti. Now, very early on in my pro minor league career, I called up Candiotti. He happened to be in the phone book, the old yellow pages. I don't think he's in there anymore. In fact, I don't even think they print phone books anymore. But I called his house. He happened to pick up, and he was kind enough to come out to a facility near his house in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he spent about an hour with me. He told me some pretty funny major league anecdotes, like his first major league strikeout was against one of my minor league managers. And he's a really good guy, gracious with his time. And of course, I didn't work with him extensively like I did with Charlie Hough and Phil Niekro. It was just a one-off thing. But he did leave me with one bit of advice that really helped me out early on. Now, early on, just like everybody else, I was inconsistent, but my knuckleball was good enough to get pro contracts year in and year out. But maybe I was throwing 6 or 7 out of 10 that were really good, and the rest of them were kind of sloppy. And it was because I was having a difficult time conceptualizing where my hand needed to be in space in order to deliver a good knuckleball. And of course, mechanically, I hadn't hammered down every single adjustment that I needed to in order to be successful. In fact, I was trying to jump ahead and think about the grip and the release far too early, and it only took me a few years of struggling in the minors to understand that you really had to build a delivery in order to throw the knuckleball consistently. But I'm going to share a little tidbit that's going to work for you weekend warriors out there. This is going to help you compete right away. It is a top-down adjustment. It's not exactly what I would recommend as far as building the knuckleball delivery out. You know, ideally, you have months or even years to sort of focus on every single adjustment that we go through in the instructional video at my clinics. If you come get personal lessons from me, you hammer down on your back foot first, you move on to your front foot, and then up to your knees, up to your hips, up to your waist, up to your shoulders, your glove side, your head, and then finally your throwing arm. And you hammer down every single one of these adjustments. You drill them through your conscious mind back into your subconscious mind by drilling over and over and over again, sometimes in front of a mirror, sometimes on flat ground, sometimes in a bullpen during baseball practice, anywhere you can. You go internal, you start thinking internally in your body, and you focus on one adjustment at a time because your conscious mind is only capable of one thought at a time. But if you're struggling to get your hand in the right spot, this is sort of a quick fix that should help you out. If your knuckleball is spinning a lot more than you think it should, or if you're struggling to get that ball rolling forward so that you can compete, this is a very simple trick that Tom Candiotti shared with me that helped him, because of course he was sort of a pitcher. He had a full arsenal. In fact, one of the minor league directors of the Milwaukee Brewers, one of the teams that Candiotti came up with. He talked to me about how Candy was kept in the system. He wasn't released because his curveball was so good. So Candiotti was like a normal pitcher. He was buzzing fastballs, throwing curveballs and changeups, and he mixed a knuckleball in. So because he didn't throw knuckleball after knuckleball after knuckleball, sometimes he would get out of a knuckleball rhythm. And this is how he had a quick fix in a game in order to get his hand in the right position if you're struggling. This might help you out really, really quickly. If you see your kid struggling, you can maybe make a mound visit and you can tell him what you want to do is, instead of thinking about your hand at the release, all you're going to do is think about this knob of your wrist, the inside knob of your wrist. Take your hand and forget it. Take your mind out of your hand altogether. And what you're going to do is throw this knob of your wrist at the target. And if you do that, that means you're going to stay inside the ball and stay inside the ball. And then right at release, your hand should be in the proper position. Now, this isn't a great adjustment as far as a long-term fix, because you're going to have to really develop the feel off your fingertips to be consistent enough to break into pro baseball. But if you need a quick fix, put your mind right here in the knob of your wrist and throw that knob of your wrist to the target. Don't even think about your hand. Your hand's just going to do what it's going to do. This should mechanically set you up where your hand blocks. It'll travel to the end range of its motion. Your hand will then flatten out and the ball should come out spinning okay. You're going to get maybe 2 or 3 spins. It's going to go forward. You're going to be able to compete. So if you're having a difficult time in a game, you need a quick fix, think about Tom Candiotti's wrist trick. Just focus your brain right on that knob of your wrist. Bingo, bango, you're in.